So before operation, the unit needs to be unstrapped. Just by loosening these straps up, they're crossed to avoid the unit from moving while in transportation. So there's a few features on this SVU. We've added labels to all the access panels and doors where there's important pieces that are required to run the machine. Starting at the top, you have your oil level check on a magnetic door. This door can be opened. You can access your dipstick, check your oil. Backside of the SVU is a radiator cover where you can check your radiator fluid. Here's your primer fuel pump. This does need to be primed before operation. All the hydraulics, which is what controls the lift mechanism of the fan, is behind this cover, along with your oil reservoir. So the oil reservoir you can check periodically. Here's your control panel. As far as this side of the fan goes, those are the main components that you need to be watching for. On this side of the fan, start with the DEF tank, so your diesel exhaust fluid. There's a sticker here to nominate that so everyone knows what goes into this tank. This is just an access panel that we've provided to all your battery cables, and you can look in on the engine. Starter solenoid, all that stuff is back behind here as well. Here's our control panel. This controls the fan, the motor, as well as the scissor lift. Inside, obviously there's a passcode with system settings. That's just to set, change parameters within the motor, stuff that's already been preset for the fire department. So if anyone needs to get into there, I'd recommend going through the chief or coming through SuperVac. Always, as we showed before, removing your tie downs before use, and we want to tie the fan back down to keep it from moving around, as it is a mechanically driven lift, so it will sway a little bit left to right. Hearing protection is recommended. These fans get very, very loud. Just be mindful of keeping your ears safe by covering them up. As far as the panel goes, we've got a master power switch. This master power switch is integrated into the e-stop, so the light will illuminate once the e-stop has been disengaged. This master power switch controls the entire fan as far as lift goes. So it doesn't have anything to do with the motor. It is only for the hydraulics of the scissor lift, operating the fan up, down, tilting side to side. We put that e-stop in to kill power to the motor and to the master power. So this switch is here for when it's in operation and you have it set where you want to run it. You can turn that switch off and you can leave it where it's at, and it can't be moved at that point. I do recommend using the e-stop to stop the motor. You can also use the key. Down here on the bottom, we've got rotate. So if we turn the key on and you turn your master power on, it is important to note what operations you're using. Obviously on the truck, the shroud sits low enough that it can come in contact with the toolboxes. So you always want to raise the shroud before you start rotating the fan left, right, even tilting forward and back, so that we're not crashing it into the toolboxes itself. So for raise, everything's labeled down here. Up is up. That will bring the unit up. And here we have cleared the toolboxes, so you're able to make your angle adjustments at this point. It does stop on its own when you hear that audible noise. That is the hydraulics at full top, so you know that you can't go any higher. Tilt. So pushing up brings it back. Pushing down brings the shroud down. It's important to set the angle of the fan before turning it on and ramping it up to its initial RPM. Just with a lot of moving parts, I recommend figuring out how you want to station it and then run it based off of that. You can make minor adjustments at low RPMs, and we'll go over that in just a little bit. And last but not least is the rotate as far as the scissor lift goes. So if you push your rotation to the right, it's going to bring it to the right towards the operator, and that will spin a full 270 degrees. Same for the left. Bringing it back to center, it's important to note we've added these indicating arrows with a piece of angle. If you want to find center of the fan, you just creep it back in to where those arrows are lined up. That gives you your location of where you can safely bring the shroud down without crashing it into any toolboxes. So when starting the engine, there's one key thing to be cognizant of before you start. I like to turn the key on, so disengage your e-stop. Turn your key on, let your illumination display turn on. While that's booting up, your fuel pump primer, you just turn out to the left, and you use this, and you'll give it 10 to 20 pumps, depending on how recently the machine has been ran, but you will feel resistance against the pump, and that's just priming fuel from the fuel pump up to the fuel rail. You can screw that guy back in, and your machine should be ready to start. Once you've got it primed and the machine is illuminated, good to go. The illumination on the screen, the fan is always set to 900 RPM to start. So here's where you control everything with the actual motor of the fan. This being your def switch. The def switch, I like to turn on once the fan's going so your diesel exhaust fluid's being used. You can see here we've got a turtle and a rabbit, which emulates a slow mode and a fast mode. When the fan is set up in the turtle mode, you can only ramp up to 1200 RPM. It's got a set limit. As you increase RPM, it will increase by 50 RPM every time you push this switch up. At 1200 RPM, it will not go any higher. So in a situation where I would want to angle the fan in a correct spot to get air pressure, at 900 RPM, you're safe to lift this up. Safe to flip this. This is going to go straight to 1200 RPM. Set to max out at 2500 RPM because that's what the blades are rated for. It's important to understand that this cannot be changed for safety purposes. Everything illuminated on the screen gives you voltage, engine temperature, oil pressure, and engine hours. This should be a telltale sign if you're having any issues with fan overheating or engine overheating. Your def level, if it's getting low, all that will give you feedback through the actual screen. When ready to shut down, I always put this back into turtle mode. So the next operator, if they turn it on, it goes straight to 900 RPM and doesn't ramp up right away. As always, I'm a big proponent of using the e-stop. You can use the key, but the e-stop ensures that everything has been turned off correctly. Then you can kill your key, turn your master power off, and the fan is ready to be put away.